And joining us now is retired NYPD Detective David Sarney. David, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, their son is now in custody, a son suspected of killing his parents. I want to start by getting your take on this. How often does something as terrible as this happen?
Unfortunately, when you deal with domestic violence issues, this is not unusual or uncommon. There were telltale signs on the son's part. Apparently, had a very, he had a drug history. He was homeless for several times. He did want to go to rehab. There were a lot of things that were precursors to something like this. Apparently, he was angry toward his father and to his grandfather. He didn't feel he was successful. And not only that, I mean, as soon as his sister gets to the location, she finds her parents dead, and she immediately looks to him as being the person involved. So there were a lot of precursors to this, and unfortunately, things just explode, and this is where it looks like it happened. Again, it's speculation now. He's been arrested. He is a defendant of this case, and you're still innocent proven guilty in a court of law in the United States. So this case is not over. Just because you have an arrest, they're still going to be working tirelessly to get all the evidence so then they can prosecute this case at trial.
So talk to us about what that investigation is going to look like. What will the focus be on? What kinds of evidence will they be looking to gather?
Well, we're going to have forensic evidence at the crime scene, which is the house, the residence. He did stay at the residence. The murder weapon, we don't know if it's been recovered or not. Apparently it was a knife. Was it from a home? Was it something he brought? These are things coming into play. Also, you're looking for any trace evidence. When you're dealing with types of injuries that were sustained by Rob and his wife, you have maybe multiple stab wounds where there could be injuries to the suspect's hand, and maybe that's a thing that they have on Nick. They look toward a victimology and kind of a perpology. You could do a surveillance camera canvas. You're going to do a witness canvas. You're going to interview the daughter, even though you're dealing with something very severe and tragic, as finding her parents dead. Information from her, and anything else that falls in line to put him at the location at the time of this murder.
When you talk about, you use the word domestic violence, which I suppose this is exactly what this was. Is there any way that, police or we as a society can navigate this idea that these kinds of things can happen within people's homes?
Yeah, this is something that, and we look at this, unfortunately, when it comes to families want to help the troubled teen, the troubled wife, and they all want to work this. They want to change that behavior. And unfortunately, you're dealing with an individual who did not want to change their behavior. They thought they could do it on their own. And apparently there were actions, or at least violent episodes within the family prior to, nothing to this violence. But when you talk about families and dealing with drug addiction, domestic issues, counseling is one thing you look at. We do look to arrest people when they commit criminal acts. But in this case, there was nothing criminal yet until this was reported, and this is a murder now. So were there any incidents prior to this that led to that? And I think when it comes to domestic incidents, they usually escalate. They don't always de-escalate. They tend to escalate to more violent things, and this is what you see here.
All right. Unfortunately, I will have to leave it there, although I have about a million more questions for you. That is our time. Detective, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you very much, and stay safe.
That is David Sarney, retired NYPD detective.